Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. He stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up.
Hey, brah.
Hey, brah. So I guess we're doing another Cranky Critics video, right?
This time it is different, Bill. We have to do another one of those social studies projects.
Oh. What's it about this time, brah?
The road to the American Revolution, man.
Radical, brah?
Do you know what the causes of the American Revolution are, brah?
Causes? Yeah, maybe the colonists were sick of wearing those bright red coats, dude. If you ask me, it's quite a fashion mistake, brah.
Nah, brah. So basically, the causes of the Revolutionary War are like, the French and Indian War, the Proclamation of 1763, and the Treaty of Paris. They all have different reasons for causing the American Revolution. For example, the French and Indian War played a part in starting the American Revolution because of all the money that it cost. It made the British Parliament put taxes on us colonists. Yeah, to make up for their debt. This angered us and made us have to protest and boycott, which also angered the British. The Proclamation of 1763 caused tension between us because the Proclamation of 1763 stated that we wouldn't be allowed to move west of the Appalachian Mountains. So there would be no conflict with the natives. The only problem with that is we needed land because most of it was taken up by other richer colonists. Most likely, loyalists. Us colonists needed the land though, so we moved west anyway. What was even worse was the fact that the Britain owned French land because of the Treaty of Paris, but did not allow us to move west and live in that area.
No way, brah. That's crazy. So you're saying I wouldn't be able to build my, swimming pool?
Not if you want to build it on the west side of the Appalachian Mountains.
Bogus.
Yeah, and you know what else is bogus?
What would that be, brah?
It was the bogus taxes that the British put on the colonies. For example, they put the Stamp Act on us, which basically said that if we bought a paper product, you'd have to buy a special stamp, man.
Bogus.
Yeah, another tax was the Tea Act. This put a tax on tea, but also put a monopoly on the tea market because the British made it so we could only buy from the tea from the East India Company. The Tea Act made the tea less expensive, but I personally wanted my favorite brand of tea, bro.
Yeah.
Which I was not able to have. Just because it is a tradition to implement taxes, that doesn't mean it is right, especially when those taxes are implemented without representation. Thomas Paine once argued in Common Sense. A long habit of not thinking a thing wrong gives it a superficial appearance of being right, and raises at first a formidable outcry in defense of custom. But the tumult soon subsides. Time makes more converts than reason. The longer this tax was in play, the more people learned to deal with it, except I think that the tax is wrong and always will be wrong. The Sugar Act was a tax on sugar products, such as molasses, and the only thing that we could do so we didn't have to pay the taxes was smuggle the sugar products in the colonies. That was a spot-on interpretation of what I read.
Thanks, mate.
You know I come from England, right?
Yeah, British, Australian. Yeah, what's the difference, brah?
Look what you did, man. You insulted Thomas Paine. You know he's a founding father, right?
He ain't my father, brah.
Man, ignorant. So, like I was saying, brah, one crazy thing was the Boston Massacre, man. It was a tragic incident where the British shot at us for no good reason. This all occurred on March 5th, 1770. in like Boston, Massachusetts. There was a bunch of people standing in the town square, and one of the soldiers shot, and then all of them started to shoot at us. There was blood everywhere, and people died, and many people were hurt. There was no reason for them to shoot us innocent people. Not a single reason.
Well, there's always a reason, brah. You just don't do it.
There was also the Boston Tea Party, which was a protest by the Sons of Liberty, where they dressed up as American Indians and dumped loads of British tea into the Boston Harbor. The Boston Tea Party was a great way of exercising our rights to protest and show the British that we wouldn't allow them to tax us. This all happened on December 16th, 1773.
Wait a minute, brah. I got a question. Does that mean that the whole Boston Harbor was like a whole cup of cold tea?
No, I don't think so, bro.
But that would be some tasty waves, brah.
Righteous. And get this, brah. They made these things called the Intolerable Acts, which was a punishment for the Boston Tea Party by the British to the colonies. Something that they did during this act was they closed the ports, made the royal governor's power increase, they strengthened the Quartering Act and the Quebec Act, and cut the power from the town meetings. This was an over-the-top act for just a simple dumping tea in the harbor. Anyway, they asked for their tea to be dumped in the harbor, considering they put a monopoly on the tea market.
That must have been a pretty righteous party for them to do something so harsh.
Yeah, bro. It got them all so mad that all of the colonies except for Georgia met up and talked about it.
What's wrong with Georgia, man?
Sounds like Georgia didn't have any delegates, brah.
Bad Georgia, bad. So what happened next?
Well, that meeting I was talking about was the first Continental Congress, which was a meeting of all the colonies except for Georgia, which discussed how they need to repeal the Intolerable Acts. You know, needed to organize militias, organize to boycott against British goods, that kind of stuff.
Say it.
This happened during the year of 1774, in the months of September and October. This was in Philadelphia, and it was a great idea, yet it did not work as well as they would have hoped.
Why? What did they expect? The king just to say, it's casual, brah. Do whatever you want, man. So what happened next?
Well, then came the effects of the Road to Revolution, which are the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and the Second Continental Congress. The Battle of Lexington and Concord was the first war in the Revolutionary War. It started with the British coming to seize our guns in Lexington, but we had to stand our ground, brah. We both stood there until a loud crack coming from the British side started a frenzy of gunshots. You know, this started the Revolutionary War. The Second Continental Congress was a meeting of all 13 colony delegates to meet and discuss what to do. They decided to make George Washington general of their army, send a petition to Britain for one more shot at peace, made the Declaration of Independence, made an official flag for the colonies, and made a real government.
Wait, I got a question. Did Georgia finally show up?
Yeah, bro. Better late than never.
Yeah, I would probably get angry at the king, too. You can sign me up.
Yeah, what do you think? Would you get angry at the king? Would you want a revolution or let the king have his way with you?
I can tell you what I would tell that king.
Bro, tell us in our comment section. And since we know you liked our video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Excellent!
Excellent! Yeah!